Welcome, beautiful souls, to Tarot Parlor. There are some intense messages that have come through. I've got some downloads here that we're going to start off with, and then we'll go ahead and do a tarot reading at the end. So please stay tuned for everything. This message is super important. We're going to go ahead and jump right into it. And the first thing we're going to talk about is what started this all off today. What brought the downloads to me was this subject right here, and it's called the P.A.C.S Program, P.A.C.S. You may have heard about this program in Netflix's Black Mirror in their Bandersnatch episode. Right here it says that the P.A.C.S Program was, in their episode, is a fictional government conspiracy that programs and controls subjects to be manipulated by viewers, by monitors, okay? By monitors meaning people viewing the show. So you can actually choose what direction the participant is going to take. They've been programmed to take the direction that you choose. Okay, so that was one of the methods that this program was meant to do. This program began many, many years ago, before the 1960s, in Europe. And yeah, it was meant to program the subject. It started off with programming languages, okay? Programming languages being like narcissistic treatment. Because you know that programs a person to do something when they're being treated narcissistically. Kindness was another one. Treats and rewards was another program language. So they had all these program languages that they would use on their test subjects, and everybody received a different way of being programmed. And then the subjects were studied psychologically to see over time how well those subjects held up, right? But then later on, technology became part of this. And I mean like real technology became part of this. There was a Neuro chip, and I don't mean the one that we've heard about now by Elon. I'm talking about one that was created in like the 1960s that was implanted into humans, into the subject, and now the subject became part of a technology study. Okay? So one of the requirements to be in this technology study was to be gifted. You had to have a high IQ, and you had to have other gifts. There were many things that they were looking for, and there were other criteria as well. And you had to have above like a 99% of what they were looking for. And there were many parents that didn't even care if their kids would qualify. They absolutely knew their kid was not going to qualify. But those parents saw it as a way of making money by selling the names of the kids that were going to make it. Okay? So that they could sell those kids' names to pirates, so to speak. And those pirates would go ahead and rip that technology out of the child's body. Yeah, like ripping a notebook out of a backpack. And the parents that did this didn't care because, first of all, it wasn't going to affect their kid. Their kid was not going to get the Neuralink. They weren't going to be in the program. They were just there to be considered. So they were just there to get the names of the ones that were potentials, to sell the list. That's it. They were there to make money. They were greedy. That was all. And they didn't care what harm it was going to bring anybody else because their kid wasn't being considered as gifted. They were spiteful. It's just the way it was. And there's a lot of you out there that may remember these gifted programs and being questioned and even, you may have even been asked about the Neuro chip. Would you like to have it? Or even by some of those pirates, do you have it? But I'm sure you may remember some of the P.A.C.S program. It even entered the school system as far as like those special classes, reading classes that they have. They had these classes for the gifted. And I'm sure maybe some of you remember going. And there's the Netflix that has it. But anyway, so you had to have a high IQ in that gifted program. So there's a lot of you that may have been stolen from, and benefits may have been stolen from you, because this program was meant to help you get into college, help you do your athletics or anything that you wanted to do. This was a program to give kids a green light that were gifted, that normally wouldn't be able to, that normally might miss out on things because maybe they didn't have finances, or maybe they just didn't have connections, or whatever it was. This program was to see how far kids in all demographics could get in life that were gifted if they weren't held back by obstacles. So one of the beauties of this program is that you had a handler, which was your programmer, that was supposed to get you into colleges, get you into schools, get you into gymnastics, get you into cheerleading. And they were just supposed to help get you what you needed. So it really was a wonderful program in idea and thought that way. Not some of the originals, but like the gifted program and the benefits that it brought to all the demographics was amazing. So there's a lot of you that ended up missing out on that because, why? Because even some of your own parents sold you out. So some of your own parents were like, enough of this. You know, my kid's having it too easy. They didn't have to walk 10 miles in snow like I did. This is getting to be ridiculous. You know, I'm selling my spot to somebody else. My kid's spot to somebody else. Or they were blackmailed to do so. Okay? Some of these programmers turned pirates. Yeah. Or they were blackmailed by pirates. Or the pirates got to your family and blackmailed your family. Right? So either way, there were many different ways that these pirates were taking your spot. And not just your spot, they were also taking your identity. They would take the kids' social security numbers, their names, identities, school IDs, once they grew up, their driver's license, social security numbers, everything. And they would go in your place to college. They would go in your place. I mean, because it doesn't matter. I mean, if they learn something, their life is going to be great because they have the knowledge. And they were treated well in your place because the pirates hijacked your program. Okay, that being said, the first vision that I had today that started off the information about the P.A.C.S program, having to share that, was a cord like this, hanging like this, in a closet of a university or some other organizational school of some sort. So it was in some kind of society like Scientology, Jesuit, or other university. And it was in this dorm closet. Okay. And 3 people came along in this vision. There was somebody that had authority, that had a position of authority at the organization. Somebody that had seniority at this organization, and somebody that had birthright. Somebody whose parents were founders, whatever. That so they each had a key of knowledge about this organization and all of its knowledge from, handed down to them, or they were there from the beginning, or because they are authorized, because they have an authorityship. And when they came together, they saw this cord hanging in the closet, and it's like this cord was beckoning to have an answer. Why am I here? Tell me, we need to answer why this cord is here. So they had to answer that question, and they came up with this. Oh, well, we're familiar with that grimoire, aren't we? Aren't we all familiar with that one grimoire from Gerald Gardner about how a practitioner of Wicca needs to have a cord to be able to reduce oxygen. Okay, we're going to say that because I don't know what's okay to say. But, use a cord to self-reduce oxygen to speak to their God. It induces an hallucination so they can speak to their God. That's what this cord is, right? And they all agreed that that's what it was there for, that this must have been somebody's religious practice and they happened upon seeing it left in the closet. And that wasn't the case at all. That's not it. They were wrong. Their knowledge was wrong. And what's more is they didn't even do an investigation. They just were so much know-it-alls, right? Because, of course, each one of these had a position to know it all, that they didn't even question themselves. So they didn't do the investigation. So it's really important. The message coming across right now is do your research. Don't assume and don't listen to anyone else just because they have birthright, seniority, or authority. That if they don't present the research to you, don't trust their knowledge. Okay? They may not be right. Anyway, what this cord was there for was for the programmers that were part of the P.A.C.S program. Or that were there in secret. They were recruiting in secret and starting up the P.A.C.S program. And they were implanting a neurochip into test subjects. And they were recruiting through this university, of this group, of this society. And they were doing it all secretly. So they had these programmers that were there privately, but there were also pirates. And the thing about that black cord is that it is a communication between, one to the other. What is it called? It's it wasn't a calling card. It was a communication between, pirate to pirate, programmer to programmer in secret. And they were asking for something or letting them know that. So basically what they were saying is one of two things. If it was to the programmer, okay, that's not the, yeah. So if it was to the programmer, it was about, we have a recruit here that's ready for hookup with the neural chip. Okay. If it was a pirate, it was saying, we have somebody here that's got the hookup for the neuro chip. So, in other words, we can rip this out of this person's body. There's somebody here who has it. So either or, that's what that was talking about. That's what that belt meant, or what that cord meant. So, okay, so there were people that were not allowed to participate in this program. And that would be ex-cons, people that were like Epstein. Okay, I put Epsteinians, but people that were like Epstein. Known mafia, or actually, there were some programmers that were Zoroastrians. Okay, but they portrayed themselves as genies, stewardesses, and even elf wizards, which is hilarious, but they put on a little show for the programmed, for the participants. And that's how they would be addressed. It was their way of making light of their position. Okay, and I guess maybe they did that with the children, so the children wouldn't go around saying, "Yeah, I have a programmer." Instead, they would say, "I have a genie." All kids say that, not just people in this program. Yeah, I talked to an elf wizard. You see what I'm saying? So they had these fictional characters that would be typical of a child's language. So I guess, but there was a bad strain of these Zoroastrians that were not allowed. And I think it was because of overpopulation of one demographic. Okay? And of course, that means they couldn't be trusted at that point. The overpopulation. So that may be familiar to you as well. If you remember saying that you had an elf wizard or a genie, your own special genie in your gifted program at school, You may have been in the P.A.C.S program. Someone may have been benefiting off of your P.A.C.S benefits your entire life. And one person that did such a thing, okay, was this Jezebel cheerleader who was a thief, who actually worked with somebody from the TV show Once Upon a Time. Now, this could have been somebody that just brought them lunch. This could have been an actual actor or actress. It could have been, I don't even know. But the name of this show has to do with this Jezebel cheerleader thief. And she's a little smart cookie because she has worked with some really smart pirates. And those smart pirates have been dark witchcraft, like the thrilling adventures of Sabrina. But they've also been the thrilling adventures of Kill Bill. The thrilling adventures of the movie What About Bob? You know, like if it was that version. The thrilling adventures of Bob's Burgers, if it was that version, a Sabrina version. You see what I mean? So that went on for a period of time. And so this Jezebel cheerleader thief had worked with some of the pirates that wanted to take and use everybody on a board. Okay? Because if you're on the board, they can control you. And if you're gifted, then they can put you on the board. They can find your spot on the board, go to management, upper management, take all your identity, remove you, and put themselves on the board under your identity. And so that's what they do. They get to know the board where there's going to be a P.A.C.S program. They find the player, and then they go to upper management, and they take it all away from you secretly with upper management that's pirating with them. They get you off the board or put you into some place that's insignificant on the board, and then they put themselves in that position, your next best position that was meant for you. Okay, and that's what this Jezebel cheerleader has been doing, or used to do. Okay, she did it exclusively. So she would take your placement and mess with your luck. Because remember, you do have somebody that is in charge, so to speak, of managing you in some way with the P.A.C.S program. So she messes with your luck through this manager. And she works with, like I said, those satanic witches, and has a bias union of woke Jezebel players that are all pirates doing all the same thing all the time. And they don't have to pay for anything. No one ever knows who they are. They work in secret. And so they're never in danger of having their wires ripped out of their body because they're in hiding under your name. You see what I'm saying? Under secret identities. So they're safe. You're not, but they are. And, you know, it's like a food stamp theft ring where somebody is using multiple identities of food stamp cards. They're using multiple identities of P.A.C.S systems, and they don't even qualify. But nowadays, that's what it grew into. That's what they did. And any benefits left over, they're still manipulating them. And I guarantee you there are some benefits that are still left over, and you're all missing out. And these pirates, okay, are winning. And remember, you can't be a criminal and be in the program. So if you have a criminal that has been, that you know is a criminal, and you think they're the ones that have been using your identity in the program, then their connections are crooked as well. Their connections in the program are all crooked because they're not supposed to work with them. They're just not supposed to. So they're working with pirates. not real programmers. Okay, so there's the download, just to let you know. If you got any comments about it, please leave it down below. And let's go ahead and get into that tarot reading. Okay, your first card is Temperance. Let go of self-imposed limitations. You are gifted. You are always gifted. You have been accepted by an elite group and society from childhood. You've had horrible people that may have sold you out, that had self-limiting ideas about you and the success of the program. But that's over. If you step into this right now and let go of those limitations that the pirates programmed into you. Don't accept the pirates program anymore. Remember, when you were in that gifted program, you were told that how gifted you were. You were gifted. Also, these programs were government funded. So this is the Queen of Pentacles. There is no need to sacrifice, and you can have it all. The benefits were there for you, and you can have it all. And remember, this theft has been horrible. Your identity theft has been horrible. The fact that you lost all the benefits of this program is horrible. But this is the Nine of Wands, and it's telling you it would take a hell of a lot more to defeat you. You've survived. You've not only survived negative programming from bad programmers, you've survived bad programming from pirates that have been out to destroy you to keep your identity. You're not going to let this get you down, because you're an empress, like this card is an empress. And there is beauty to be found in every experience. There is something beautiful that's going to come of this. And then we're getting into the Hierophant card here. This card has shown up to tell you that tradition is important, but it doesn't have to be everything. So family, tradition, all of that may have drowned you, because some of those people may have been pirates in your life. And this is telling you, you do not have to bank your whole world on that, because it doesn't have to be everything. You're gifted. You can have your own traditions starting now. And then finally, we have the Moon that is saying, take time for self-reflection. It is essential. The reason why you don't remember the things that have happened is because you haven't taken time for self-reflection. It's hurt. You've let it go. It was ripped out of your hands. Some of you may remember having your electronic links ripped from your body, okay, taken from you. And if that's the case, this is telling you the reason you're not remembering that is because of lack of self-reflection. So start now. Start your self-reflection now, so you can start remembering what you need to, so people can't use your identity against you anymore. So nobody else is benefiting off of your genius. Blessings.